Hello, my name is Brayan-Escalante, and today I will be talking about the Confederate Constitution and how it led to the end of slavery. Alright, we believe that the Confederate Constitution led to the end of slavery as it serves as to be one of the last catalysts for the Civil War. And we believe that the Confederate Constitution was like the breaking point before the Civil War. And of course, the Civil War is important in history because it led to the 13th Amendment, which the 13th Amendment is really important because it's actually the thing that abolished slavery and made it not legal. The Confederate Constitution, we saw it as we interpreted it as it was the Southern states flexing their muscles at the Northern states, in a way saying that, hey, we're gonna go against everything you go for, and say basically our way is the real way, the truthful way. Uh, a brief insight of what the Confederate Constitution installed: it allowed for slave owners to travel with their slaves in between other Confederate states like luggage. So this is important because it just shows like how pro-slavery that they are, that they're treating them like luggage. The Confederate Constitution also declared that any new territory acquired by the state to fully allow slavery. This is really important as it shows that if the southern states grow, then slavery is going to grow as well. Other parts of the Confederate Constitution that we should know is it involved leaders that was like pro this movement. Leaders like Alex Stephens, which he's quoted to saying the new government was founded on the idea that blacks were inferior to whites. All these components of the Confederate Constitution led to an unrest between North and South states that couldn't be bottled anymore, leading to the Civil War. All right. Again, with the Confederate Constitution supporting slavery, the Confederate Constitution sought to be pro for slavery, as it could be with the Confederate Constitution allowing for slave owners to freely move their slaves around the Confederate states. They were looking just basically for economic gain that they could exploit from free agriculture and industrial labor they could get without paying. So that allowing slave owners to move their slaves allows them to travel and still be working because they're going to force the slaves to do work in other areas of the Confederate States. This basically just flexing this part of the Constitution was basically just them flexing the powers that they have to the Northern states, and the Northern states began to worry more about the powerhouse that is the Southern states they were turning into. And this worry just basically just added to why the Civil War happened, because with the Confederate Constitution being instilled, it was just showing that the Southern states weren't going to stop until they have their ideology across the United States, and that led to the Northern states not being as stable as they once were because they were fearing for their safety. They were fearing for their safety as the northern states were fearing that the southern states were beginning to get more powerful and becoming more reckless, and overall just becoming more worried that the southern states were going to attack the northern states first. Alright, so the Constitution basically just wanted to expand slavery. One of the components that stuck out with the Confederate Constitution was one stating that any new territory gained by the southern states would fully allow slavery. This was a big deal because it could be taken as the southern states trying to grow their power. They could be taken as them expanding their growth, power, and influence to northern states, and in response, the northern states could have taken this as a threat, adding more of an unease between the two powers, which ultimately led to the Civil War. The concept of obtaining land was fearful for anyone, as the more land you have, the more power you have. The Confederate Constitution was making a power move, implementing this into their constitution, trying to grow slavery. However, in the end, it was ultimately unsuccessful, as they did end up losing to the Northern states in the Civil War, which the Civil War, the effect of the Civil War being of the abolishment of slavery. So the Confederate Constitution ultimately led to the Civil War, and to which how it played a role in abolishing slavery in the United States.
Alex Stevens, the Confederate group as a whole who were in charge of creating the Confederate Constitution as a whole was a group of elitists who only saw themselves as the absolute top of the hierarchy and saw slavery as a way to get ahead economically. One of the people heavily advocating for the Confederate Constitution was Alex Stevens. Without him, the Confederate Constitution might have even been written, and the Civil War may have been pushed back some years. As he was the Vice President of the Confederate States of America, he has an ideology that the new government needed to be that the white race was superior and the black race was inferior. Alexander theories and ideologies caused a fury in the North as he wanted to spread these theories onto the northern states, which angered them as they saw it as an attempt to move the southern power to the north.
In conclusion, the Confederate Constitution played a huge role in the ending of slavery, as it was the final piece to a long build-up to the Civil War. If the Southern states did not try and flex their power with the Confederate Constitution, the Civil War could have potentially been held back years before occurring. Ultimately, the Civil War achieved the 13th Amendment. This amendment freed the slaves as it abolished slavery in the United States and made them free, and also made the northern states' ideology the winners. The Confederate Constitution can be referred to as the last domino to fall before the two power states clashed.